Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cheryl Technology Channel. My name is Chris, and I'm your host today. And in this one, we are going to be looking at something very specific, firewalls and antivirus software. And there is a lot to this, so bear with me. I'm going to make it as simple as I possibly can. So, first off, what is a firewall? A firewall, as the name says, stops fire. It's a wall that stands between you and a fire. The public internet, think of it as a fire, because that's what it kind of is, a big fire, a flaming, burning disaster. And so with that said, you need to find a way, you need a way to mitigate the risk, right? You don't want things from the outside coming into your house, right? That's what you don't want. So the way you do that is with a hardware firewall. Now, a firewall monitors and controls the traffic coming in and going out based on a set of rules. Now, these rules they're looked at in order. So let's just do this in a simple way. With a recipe, you follow instructions, right? You have this ingredient that does this ingredient that does that. A firewall works almost exactly the same way in that it looks at a list and says, we're going to allow this. Oh no, that breaks the rules. Block it. So think of it this way. Let's say that you have at your front door, right? Because this is a good example. The door represents the firewall, a imaginary firewall. It's a logical firewall. Remember, physical you can see, logical you cannot. You can't see the actual barrier. So the way this works is that when you have somebody at your front door, let's say that you want to allow Bob but not Rufus. So that's what you would do. You would create a rule that says, hey, allow Bob and deny Rufus. That's exactly the way a firewall works, and it works very well. Now, it acts as a barrier between your private internet. Remember, we talked about this. Your house is the private. Everything in your house is private. You want to keep it that way. You don't want the scary public fire out there called the public internet getting into your house. That's where a firewall comes in. Think of it as a wall between you and the bad things of the internet, because it can be horrible. The internet's horrible. The more you open holes or ports in the firewall, the more risky it becomes. Now think about this. Think of this as a peephole, or you crack the door open a little bit. That's how a firewall would work. A firewall, hey, let's open this window a little bit. Well, that opens you up to more things. Moving on, that's the introduction, everybody. Let's get right into this. Hardware firewalls are physical devices. Now, you can see on the screen, this is like a crap ton of them. I have one over there, a big one I was going to take out of the rack, but I didn't. It's a Unify. It's a Unify one. It's a USG Pro 4. It's old, but it still does the job. It just doesn't do it very well. It's very slow. So the way you would do this, so say this is your, let's see, is this what we got right here? Switch to Ethernet combo port. Okay, right here. This is your WAN right here, right? Y'all see my little mouse? Yeah, I can see it on my recording software. This is my mouse, or not my mouse. This is my WAN port. See right here, WAN, wide area network. Public internet. Same thing. Well, basically the same thing. The LAN is your private. So internally, this device has a firewall that blocks traffic. It routes traffic based on rules. That's what a firewall does. Now, you may be saying to yourself, what in the crap is a fire? What are you talking about, Chris? Let's think of it another way, right? In a car, you have the part that sits between the engine and you. That's called a firewall. It's to prevent if the engine were to catch on fire, it blocks the fire from getting to you. That's what it does. That's the same thing a firewall does. It blocks things from the outside getting in that shouldn't be getting in. That's all it does. Now, it can be any device that controls traffic like that in and out of a network. Now, thinking about my video series on networking where I told you that it's like the inside of the house, just like I said. It's the same principles. All of those principles are the same. They have the same function. They look the same. Now, a software firewall is a little bit different. Right, so I'm going to show you. Let's go to, oh crap, I can't see my screen very well. Right here, Windows Defender Firewall. Now let's take a look at this. So the firewall is on. Let's look at these inbound rules. So these are the inbound rules. So think of it this way. Anything that gets past the outside external to internal block, that external to internal wall, if it gets past that, then how do you block it? Well, you can do it with this. A firewall that is built into the software. This is called a software firewall. And the software firewall will take, now you can see there's a lot of crap in here. This one probably needs to be blocked. Probably should delete that one because I don't like any of that junk. But you can see MSN Weather, Microsoft To Do. I don't use any of this stuff, so I'm probably going to have to wipe it out. But if you notice, that's kind of how it works. So let's just look at one of these. I'll tell you what. Let's check out let's look at this one. This is my Battlefield. Now you can notice the program is located on this drive, and this is the file extension for the executable file that when you double click it, it runs. Now, you notice that it's running any local address, any remote address. The client software determines where it goes, right? The client software knows where to send the request. So it's using TCP. That's good to see. Any remote port, blah, blah, any. So you can see that it's allowing, the action is allowed under the public profile. So let's look at this. Let's see. How do I do this? Right here. So right here's your properties, right? So these are the properties of your internet. So, right, you have a public and a private. Now, if it's public, it applies a set of rules that makes this device not discoverable by internal resources. See, that's what I really want y'all to get a takeaway from this, is that is the huge difference in these things, is that one the physical device, or a firewall, is something that limits connectivity based on a set of rules. Let's look at it this way. I got a good description on my iPad here. A software firewall is, and I quote, a software firewall is a firewall in a software form factor rather than a physical appearance, which can be deployed on servers or virtual machines to secure cloud environments. So some of these could be Bitdefender. Now, I had Bitdefender for like 2 years, and I love them. They're a little pricey for me, bro. The term software firewall should not be confused with the term firewall software. There's a big difference there, which describes the operating system running a next-generation firewall. Now, software firewalls are designed to protect data, workloads, and application environments wherein it is difficult or impossible to deploy physical firewalls. So you would use Bitdefender or something like that to secure your servers, or you could use Sentinel-1 or something of that nature. These are included in this list as software-defined networks, hypervisors, public cloud environments, virtualized data centers, and so on and so forth. Now, there's software on your firewall on your computer. You saw that just a minute ago. Now that y'all have all of that, now let's move on to antivirus software. Antivirus is a little bit different. So let's say, perchance, that the threat from the public scary internet gets into your house, gets past your firewall, gets past your computer's firewall. Then what? Well, the more layers you have, the better secured you are. So this is what you do. At the network level, at the network level, you have physical firewalls to protect the infrastructure, your house. But what happens if the malicious software makes it past the physical firewall? You, of course, have an antivirus that is always scanning, always scanning the network for software with ill intent. So let's just look at an example of antivirus. And I'm telling you, there are a bunch of them. Do not use this one. They are the ones that broke everything a while back. Norton is terrible. I hate Norton. I hate McAfee. Avast is pretty good, though. Windows Defender. So let's look at Windows Defender. That one's built in, because most of you aren't even going to know what I'm even talking about. So we're going to take a look at it. Windows Defender. So Windows Defender is always looking for threats. It is updated with Windows. That's why it is so important, and I'm going to do a separate video on this for my buddy Damien's. Yep, Shields Up, right here it is. Shields Up. You're welcome, Damien. Shields Up. His book is amazing, dude. He wrote a book that's simplistic and easy, and that's very important. So he was saying that if you look at antivirus software, there are multitudes. I mean, there are so many, it's ridiculous. So Windows Defender, so if we go look at that one, this is Windows right here. It's AI-powered security. Now, it protects all your data, supposedly. I do have a friend who is deploying this in an environment, and he says he swears by it. And the boy, he knows his crap, so I believe him. I mean, I believe that it's a lot better than it used to be. It's got VPNs. It's got all this stuff, man. It's crazy how far Microsoft has come with their antivirus. So that's what I'm kind of telling y'all, is that this stuff seems so complicated, but trust me, it is not. Now, the way it works is, but the actual concepts are not hard to understand ononce you get a grasp. So think of a firewall as it evaluating rules. It's a list of rules, and it evaluates those in order. That's all it does. And based on if it's ingress, you block everything unless you explicitly allow it. If you want to block Bob and Rufus, both, so let's say that Bob gets a little squirrely, and you want to block him. So what you would do is you would say, okay, now I want to apply another rule that says if Bob shows up, block him too. And that's how it works. It is really that easy. I'm telling y'all, it is so simple. That is the basic functionality of what it does. It is not that difficult. Now, the physical ones, I personally have a, mine's a Nighthawk. This is the one I have. Now, most of you may say, but this is a $400 router. Yeah, I didn't pay that for it. I got this router, and that's the other piece that I would highly recommend is if you see a router that you want that's a lot of money, look around on eBay. Now, you got to be careful. You want to be very careful. I've been doing this for quite some time, and I trust my judgment. I trust my abilities to see things and to do things. So for me, I trust myself. But I don't know, if you don't trust it, then don't buy it. That's probably the best advice I could give you. I bought this one for $20 at a yard sale, well, at a flea market, and I'm telling you, man, it works flawlessly. It is the only wireless router that I've ever seen that works this well. Now, about every week and a half, I've noticed that the internet goes down. I don't know why. I don't have it on a reboot schedule, as I probably should, but I don't. And so I bought this one because of the price. That's the only reason. So the first thing I did was set it back to factory. I plugged it in. I didn't plug it into my network. I plugged it into the power, reset it, and did all the setup on it. That's how I did it. I turned the Wi-Fi off. So the Wi-Fi on it's turned completely off because I have access points for that. Maybe someday I'll give y'all a tour of my network, like a full tour of everything I have. And so that's kind of how that is. Now, this is Cyber Stronghold security. You have to make sure that firewalls are up to date. Make sure to do those updates, man. I'm telling you. And as you can see, it can be complicated and extensive. But with the right knowledge, I'm telling you, with the right knowledge, you can be reasonably proficient in security, and you can ensure that your network is not vulnerable. But it requires that you take steps and learn knowledge. So I encourage you to do that. Now, everybody, if you do not know the Lord Jesus Christ, I pray that you would reach out to me in the comments right now and ask me about him. I will be glad to tell you everything you want to know. And everybody, I hope you enjoyed this video. And until my next video, everybody, thank you for watching.